Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit and become a bit like Vernon Coleman and the old man in the chair. I haven't really made any videos for some time, which perhaps is a mistake, but I'm going to turn the long post that I put on Facebook yesterday, Enough is Enough and More Than Enough, into this video, as some people suggested that was a good idea. If you look through Facebook, you will see the precursor to this post, which is a background to the scientific evidence of what is actually going on. I don't particularly want to touch on that here. But what is going on? It seems that governments are lying to us about this so-called pandemic, and it's not only government, but only one government. It seems to be all of them, and they seem to be fed their information, their rule book, their playbook, if you like, from an outside source, which, of course, on the face of it appears to be the United Nations, but the United Nations can only be a spokes vehicle for something more powerful than that. So I think we need to look at bankers, we need to look at the World Economic Forum, we need to look at the Bilderbergers, and we need to look beyond that. I didn't vote for any of this to happen, and I didn't ask a government to do this for me. Did you? I think realized that something was really up when I saw that the media was working in a strange way. It was forbidden to discuss God, and churches were closed at one stage, I don't know if they still are, and yet pubs were open. Something was odd about that. It seems people, or some people, or the people who are controlling this dialogue or this scenario, seem to fear God. So, to protect ourselves and form some sort of pushback, which I think is very necessary, against this tyranny, then that's where we must be. We must go. We must go because this is the key that is in the lock. For many years I've worked with levels of consciousness and disease, and to quote from Florence Scovel Shinn, one of my favourites, people little dream how their affairs react on the body. There's a mental correspondence for every disease. Let me repeat that. There's a mental correspondence for every disease. We look for the emotional, and there we see the key to the disease. Flossie died in 1940, but others have said the same thing. Rupert Sheldrake talked about morphogenetic fields, M fields. Some of you there might have been familiar with and might have even been on. In every disease, it has a level of consciousness, which is a vibratory or frequency level. SARS-2 COVID-19, to give it its official title, is a coronavirus. And there are many of these coronaviruses. This is not the only one. Vienna Stable's Theta Healing casts light on this as well when she says viruses are created by a lack of self-worth. And there is a link between that and the AFT, attractive field therapy, take on all of this. The closest I can come on AFT to COVID is influenza, because they are linked. And an influenza has a level of consciousness, a frequency of 30. And 30 on Hawkins' scale equates to guilt. It seems to me that guilt and self-worth seem at some level to be related. And it gets interesting if we dig a bit deeper. People who truly believe in this pandemic, and it's been illustrated by the reactions of the believers to mask wearing, I think. Of course, this is all stoked up by a compliant media that is fulfilling the directives and agenda of the people who are running this particular pandemic. People who are coming from guilt, if we start to look at their emotional breakup, they become vindictive as they see those who do not wear masks as unforgiving and obsessed on the wrongs. They perceive those who refuse to mask up are likely to do harm to them. They see them as antagonists who must be shamed or exposed. This is a behavior pattern that goes with guilty people. The unmasked are guilty and must pay something in retribution. Those who cannot forgive themselves will certainly avoid any responsibility themselves or seeing their responsibility as being that as to others. Or they give over their power to external forces, such as the government. And we can see this going on around us all the time. And they're giving their power to forces beyond their control because they say they're not up to it. They avoid guilt by being right because they believe what they are told by, as I say, a compliant media. They are good children and therefore they do what they are told and they believe what the powers that be, the authority figures tell them. These are really not my words. They're, I suppose, come from the AFT website. And we can see that this behavior are around us. Guilty people are easy to control. And in the present condition, in the present situation, this is important. So they do what they're told. And they do what they are told by the authorities. This makes it easy for the authorities to create diversion and division and conflict in society, which makes it easier for them to reach their objectives, whatever they may be. If the perpetration of this scheme dislikes God, or if the perpetrators, I should say, of this scheme dislike God, I suggest they must fear the deity and the divinity, and that's our solution. Our solution is to push back. Let's push back with God. An LOC is a frequency. So, on the Hawkwind scale, an LOC of 30 is very low. If we resonate at a higher frequency, we get above the lower one. We get above the problem. So, once we're above the problem, it no longer exists. When more and more do this, a critical mass is reached. And the first, shall we say, and then the morphogenetic field begins to disintegrate, it falls apart. And then this whole agenda falls apart. How do we do this? There are many ways. Personally, I like a mixture of EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and Florence Scofield Shinn's type clearing statements. She calls this a treatment, and I'm going to call it the same thing. So first of all, we put the problem, what I'm doing here is showing a treatment for SARS-2 COVID-19. There are many, many other treatments in AFT for many things, from hemorrhoids to cancer, but they will be different because the LOC in question will be different. But this one is specifically for COVID. So here's the affirmation. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy and can go free. And then you tap on it. You tap on the EFT points. We start here on the eyebrow, and we start and we repeat the affirmation. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. Notice I'm tapping on the left-hand side with my left hand. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. As you do this, stuff will come up. Focus on that stuff as you tap. Then we go from the side of the eye, we go to the stomach point, which is under the eye. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I'm worthy to go free. Then we come to under the nose. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so that I am worthy to go free. Whatever comes up, focus on it and direct your tapping, your focus to that issue. And under the lower lip, I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. Now we come on to the collarbone. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. And we end up on GV20, which is here at the top of the head. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. That's the left-hand side. Now we repeat the same thing. This is one round. One round, and we use the other hand, the right hand this time, and we start again here at the side of the eye. The eyebrow. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. The side of the eye. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. Under the eye. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. Under the nose. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. Lower lip. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. Onto the collarbone. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. And then the top of my head, I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. So that's one round. One using the right hand, the left hand, and one using the right hand. And you want to do 100 of these. Now you don't have to do the 100 all at once, but you do a minimum of 10 rounds, that is. You do it 5 taps on this side, 5 taps on this side, that's one round. You do that 10 times. And you repeat the affirmations you go. I cast all my guilt issues on the Christ within, so I feel worthy to go free. And so that's it. So I'd be interested to see what results you get. Now, this is directed to COVID. I don't suspect that many of you out there, or if any of you, will have COVID symptoms. So it's probably not particularly useful, but it does address the present pandemic. If you want something that is specific for you, a problem that you might have that will have a different LOC, well then come back to me, message me, and we can get on to that and we can work on it together. We can work something out for you. That's my offer to you. And so those who do this, I'd be really happy if you give me feedback, if you experiment with this with your own issues, and see how it works for you. So thanks so much, but don't forget the offer. If you have a different issue, and it can be anything, it can be hemorrhoids, it can be big things like high blood pressure, come back to me and we'll work out a clearing treatment for you that is specific for your issue. So thank you, thanks so much for being here. I hope you find this useful, and all I will say is bye for now.